What's going on, people? It's your boy, the Boxing Lowdown, and I'm back here with another video. And as always, people, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Feel free to drop a comment if you like, and I'll happily get back to you. Now, people, welcome to the weekend roundup. Only one place to start. Actually, you know what? Before I do, let me just give a quick plug to my new channel. As you can see at the bottom of the screen there, Lowdown_sports on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok as well. So I need to update that ticker. But yeah, please subscribe to that channel. I literally just set it up over the weekend, and we've got about 20 odd subscribers on there now. So yeah, want to try and push that up as much as possible. So if you guys please subscribe to that channel, I'll be covering all sports on there, talking about Arsenal, my football team, as well as talking about other sports as well. So I'll be covering boxing on there, covering football, covering basketball, covering NFL, covering tennis, covering Formula One. I'm covering all of that on that channel there. So just a quick plug for my new channel, Lowdown_sports. So thank you guys for listening to that. Let's get straight into it, man. Now, there's only one place to start. Moses Itauma and Dillian Whyte over the weekend. I did do a watch along on this channel, and it was a very good watch along as well. Had a lot of good people on there. The energy was great, and yeah, you could see my reactions during the fight was definitely a talking point. But I'm gonna obviously I've had a day or two to sit on it now in terms of the result and just give my actual reaction to it. So yeah, as we know, Moses Itauma blitzing Dillian Whyte in one round. It was over before it even started, really, man. Before we could even settle down and get into it, yeah, Dillian Whyte got taken out, and many people were not surprised with this result. Maybe we were surprised with how early it was, but not surprised with the actual result itself. Going into it, I said that I'd be very surprised if Dillian Whyte can get out of the first half of the fight. I couldn't see him going past six, but it turned out he couldn't even get past round one. Now, yeah, let's just give a brief recap of the fight itself. So, in the ring, I mean, both of them were just kind of trading jabs at first, kind of giving each other a look, seeing what they're about. And then when Moses Itauma opened up, which was midway through that round, Dillian Whyte had no answer. You know, he looked slow, he looked old, and he is old. I mean, he's 37, and in boxing terms, that is old. But yeah, when Moses Itauma opened up, Dillian Whyte had no answers. You know, he kind of bent down. He was falling for the feints that Itauma was using, and the punch selection, the variety that Moses Itauma showed when Dillian Whyte was on those ropes was beautiful. The body and head punches from Itauma was unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? And you can see as that picture there, the body shots, the precision, the speed, the accuracy. This kid is just—he's 20 years old, man. He's 20 years old, this kid. And yeah, it took Dillian Whyte out. Dillian Whyte dropped on the floor, won the first knock, well, the only knockdown of the fight. And he rose to his feet. But then when he rose, he kind of stumbled back into the post. And the referee rightly waved it off. And Dillian Whyte complaining to the referee, saying that it was an early stoppage. But for me, there was no doubt like that was the correct stoppage. I think Dillian Whyte is just a warrior. He would have been willing to go on, but there was only one way that fight was going to go. Only one way if it did carry on, and that would have been Whyte probably being knocked out cold. Do you know what I mean? He would have got knocked out, but could have been knocked out cold because yeah, his balance has never been good. Dillian Whyte's, even when he was in his prime, he never had the best balance, never had the best coordination. So when you're up against someone like Moses Itauma, who is very coordinated, he's brilliant technique and fundamentals, and you know, like I said, the variety of punches that he displays, and just how cool and composed he looks in the ring. This would have been a bad fight for Dillian Whyte, no matter what stage of his career he's in. I mean, even an in prime Dillian Whyte would have struggled with someone like Moses Itauma because for those reasons, you know, Dillian Whyte has always been off balance when he fights. He's never been that coordinated. He's powerful, he's strong, but I think he would have always struggled against a style like this. So yeah, there was no doubt for me going into this fight that Dillian Whyte was going to lose it and get stopped, and that's pretty much what happened here. So yeah, Moses Itauma blitz and Dillian Whyte in one round. Let's see what this article has to say about it here on Boxing Scene. And yeah, it just says Itauma blitz Whyte, stopping him in just a round in the Riyadh build topper. Then said he was open to a fight with undisputed world champion Alexander Usyk. Now, let me just stop right there. I don't want to see that right now, man. This kid's 20 years old. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, he's exciting. He's the future. He's going to be a world champion, but he's 20 years. Do we really want to put him in with Usyk now? I know Turkey Al Sheikh is trying to push it, saying that's the fight he wants to see, but I don't know. I mean, 13-0, like he's just fought Dylan White. Let's see Moses Atama up against some other contenders first, because White for me is not a contender, even though he is a name. His status right now is not of a contender type status. He's not been that good. Like he's been out of the ring for 2.5 years. He came back, looked very poor against modest opposition, and then he goes in against Atama and hasn't tested him. So I'd like to see Atama in with a couple of tests first. I mean, Philip Hergovich, who I'm going to talk about later, who won on that bill. I'd like to see that maybe for Moses Atama. Do you know what I mean? There's plenty of other British fighters he could fight. You know, Fabio Wardley's out there. That would be a great fight. Do you know what I mean? So there are other contenders I'd love to see Moses Atama go in with first before he takes on the likes of Alexander Usyk. And even if that is a Joseph Parker or an Ajit Kabayel or someone like that, I feel like he's ready for it. But yeah, I just think the Usyk fight's too soon. I don't think we need to throw him in. And it's not because I don't think Moses Atama has no chance. I just think that AJ said it at one point in his career when he became world champion. You know, he wasn't, there was no room for Ferreira there. He wasn't able to turn back around and then fight modest opposition again and work his way up. You're right at the top. Do you know what I mean? So there's no turning back once you win a world title. And I think for Moses Atama, he's got everything on his side, man. He's got age, he's got the ability, he's got everything on his side. So there are contenders out there. No need to rush against Alexander Usyk, but he's just said he's open to a fight here. He's not calling him out or anything like that. So yeah, I'm not surprised he's saying he's open to it, but I think realistically, I don't think that should happen next. But anyway, let's see here. The contender from Chatham, Kent is now 13-0, 11 KOs. Whyte fell to 31-4, 21 KOs, and the 37-year-old was not in the fight. Southpaw Itauma cracked Whyte with some early right hooks, landed some crisp shots to the body. Whyte couldn't get his jab going, and the 20-year-old speed was giving Whyte fits. Yeah, it was. I mean, as soon as Itauma opened up, Whyte didn't know what to do. Like, I saw Itauma feint. Dillian Whyte fell for the feint. Then, you know, he just, when Itauma opened up, Dillian Whyte didn't know what to do. He looked like an old man in there. He really did. And it was just the first time he opened up, that was it. So let's keep going on here. After Itauma whipped in some jabs, he walloped Whyte with some heavy overhand lefts, and Whyte tottered back into a corner. Itauma flew in, letting both hands go, and in a prolonged vicious assault, Whyte fell, sprawling onto all fours as he tried to rise. He fell back into the ropes, and the fight was stopped. Yeah, it was a poor night for Dillian Whyte, but going into the fight, man, I mean, his body language was different. He was very, I don't know, very. I mean, if you saw how he was walking to the ring, you know, very like placid, like very just kind of, there was no intensity from Whyte. And then when he got in the ring, he's walking over to the Tauma's corner and shaking his hand. When have you ever seen Dillian Whyte act like that? Maybe against Tyson Fury. He had the same sort of traits in that fight, like almost like you know you're gonna lose, and you're kind of, you know, just acceptant of it. And it's easy for me to say that now after the fight, but yeah, you've seen in those two fights in particular, the one with Fury and the one here with Atama, Dillian Whyte's body language and his attitude was different. You know, he was very respectful, which, you know, people are. But I mean, before the fight, there was none of that intensity, and he was saying to everybody that would listen, "Oh, I'm gonna get knocked out. Oh, you know, I'm gonna get knocked out. That's what you lot are saying." And I'm just thought, I don't know, man. I thought it was pretty off for me. But yeah, where does he go from here, Dillian Whyte? I mean, I think he should retire. I don't think he's going to, because looking on his social media yesterday, he was saying, "I'll be back." You know, that was one of the, he kept on saying it. He was reposting stories that he was tagged in, and he kept quoting, "I'll be back. I'll be back." So I'm like, back against who? Do you know what I mean? I guess the only one you could really say is Derek Chisora. I mean, that makes sense, I guess, if he is going to come back. Joe Joyce, I wouldn't mind seeing that. But really, Whyte is at the end of his career. And if this hasn't humbled you and let you know that you're at the end of the career, then I don't know what will. And you just hope that he doesn't carry on for too much longer. You'd hope if he does come back, it is for one more fight only. And it would have to be against the likes of a Chisora or maybe a Joe Joyce or something like that. And to be honest, I think Whyte at this point, he would lose to them both. You know, maybe I think he'd probably lose to Joe Joyce, and he'd lose to Derek Chisora right now, who's all there. They're both hold as well. But I just think they've probably got a bit more left than Dillian Whyte, man, who looked terrible on Saturday night. He really did. He did lose a lot of weight, but the strength was gone. And yeah, I just don't think he just didn't look good at all. So Whyte getting blitzed out in a round. Moses Atama, the world is this kid's oyster man, and you hear the praise he gets from everybody in the boxing, circuit. Anthony Yard only the other day was on Talksport, I believe it was, and he was singing his praises. You got a Coley singing his praises. You got everybody. I saw Tyson Fury actually come out and say that Atama beats Usyk right now. So the whole world is singing this kid's praises, man. He's got the world at his oyster, and I really just love how he's just so well rounded, and he's very mature. He's got an old head on young shoulders, this kid, and he's not interested in being a superstar. He's not interested in the limelight. He even said it, I think, in a Ring magazine interview. He doesn't care about all that. This kid only wants to get in there and fight. That's all he cares about, and it's just refreshing. Do you know what I mean? Because you see a lot of fighters today, they are all about the business. They are all about trying to be a superstar. And oh no, I want this split. I want to have this. I'm the A side. And this kid just wants to get in there and fight. It's so refreshing seeing that, man, because we don't have enough of it. So it's very hard not to like and not get behind this kid. Do you know what I mean? He's exciting. He carries himself well, and he's just in there to go out and knock people out, and he's doing that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, plenty of challenges out there for Moses Itauma in the heavyweight division. Doesn't need to rush into a Usyk fight right now. Loads of contenders out there he could fight, and I think he may struggle to get some of those fights. If I'm going to be honest, man, because if I'm managing a fighter, am I throwing my fighter in there with him? I don't know. You'd have to pay me a lot of money. I'll tell you that. So maybe Moses Itauma might have to just work his way through the rankings. Frank Warren might have an issue with getting him some fights here with how good he's looking. But yeah, maybe if you are one of the top fighters, you might think to yourself, maybe I should just try and get a crack at this kid now before he, gets even better, because he's only 20. So let's see. Very interesting to see where the career goes next for Moses Itauma. Looking very good in every passing fight. Dillian Whyte, I'd like to see him retire, but he's not going to. He'll probably have one more fight if he is going to carry on. And if that is the case, then maybe it should be against the likes of Derek Chisel or Joe Joyce. But let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below, people. And let me know what you'd like to see next for both fighters there. So let's talk about the next fight on over the weekend. And that is the heavyweight action between Filip Hrgović and David Adeleye. Now, Filip Hrgović won this fight on points, convincing points win, as the title says. And he had to walk through a bit of adversity to get there. He got a horrible, horrible cut in the second round. And it looked like that. Was it the second round? I think it was the second round. And it looked like that, David Adeleye could really spring a huge upset here, because it was caused by a punch. It wasn't a headbutt. It was caused by a punch. So if he was able to work on that eye a bit more, then that would have given the referee a decision to make, and the doctor, But to be fair to Hrgovic's corner and to Hrgović himself, they responded to that brilliantly. Do you know what I mean? Hrgović started to stick it on David Adeleye. He really did punish him over the next few rounds, leaving them with no option but to let him carry on. And then the corner team stopped that cut from flowing. So it wasn't as bad as the cut was. It didn't become an issue in the fight. So you have to give Filip Hrgović credit for that. He did look good at times. He's a huge fighter, Filip Hrgović, and he uses his jab and his punches selections well. Do you know what I mean? And he was kind of bullying Adeleye in there at times. And I was a bit disappointed in David Adeleye, because I thought when he cut him, I thought, you've got a real chance here. I'm not saying go for broke and swing for the fences, but there were times when Adeleye was, I don't know, he just didn't seem to take that opportunity, man. It didn't seem like he really went for it. And it only really did when he got knocked down. I believe it was the 8th round, and his back was against the wall. Then he started swinging, and then he started landing. And then he had Hrgović going a bit, and it was like, well, why didn't you do this earlier? Do you know what I mean? So there was a bit of frustration there. Adam Booth in the corner read the riot act to David Adeleye during that fight as well. He said it, so he wasn't fully impressed with his attitude during the fight. But, it's a learning fight for him. He was never expected to win this fight, David Adeleye. And it's a learning one. He could definitely take some positives from this fight. But overall, he did get beaten up a little bit. And Hrgović was the rightful winner, despite suffering a bad cut in the second round. So let's see what this article says. And it says, whatever short exile Philip Hergovich spent in the heavyweight wilderness after suffering his first and only career defeat is now decidedly over. Hergovich dismantled David Adelaide on Saturday in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, surviving a scare in the eighth round, but otherwise dominating a contest that was about as exciting as a one-sided 10-round undercard fight could be. So yeah, you do have to give Hergovich credit, because after that cut, you were like, oh, this really, hold on a minute, David Adelaide might get him here. And then Fergovic thought, no, I'm not letting that happen. And then he just really just kind of put the pause on David Adelaide. Like, he didn't really have no answer for it. So yeah, he really did dominate it after that. And that kind of, if anything, that spurred him into action. So scorecards were 98-91 and 99-90 for Hergovich. Yeah, so he dominated the fight. And just having a look here, London's heavy swing in Adelaide was meant to help shed light on the subject and perhaps serve on his own step towards the upper echelon of heavyweight contenders. Hergovich quickly revealed a gap in experience and seemingly class by repeatedly stinging Adelaide with jabs and hard 1-2 combinations in the first round. But Adelaide led the second with a left hook and a right hand, then landed a slicing jab that opened a cut over Hergovich's right eye, an instant gusher. It was brilliant. You know what I mean? It was a brilliant combination. And it was like, wow, man, he could really do this. But, you know, Hergovich's corner was brilliant. After under adversity, they worked on that eye and it did not become an issue during the fight. You really have to give them credit for that. They did their job. They absolutely did their job on that corner. And it gave Hergovich the confidence to get back in and not only dominate the round, but then drop Adelaide and nearly stop him. So terrific corner work from that team. And let's just see what it says here. Hergovich get a shot at the Itauma Whyte winner. That has been speculated, or a rematch with Dubois, which is not a bad option, actually. That's not a bad option, a rematch with Dubois, because obviously Dubois is coming off a loss. Maybe he might not want to go straight in there with Hergovich, but yeah, you got to put Hergovich up there with the top heavyweights in the world right now. Do you know what I mean? He's got a terrific chin. He might have one of the best chins in boxing. He's definitely up there. He was taking some solid shots, but he does show some vulnerability as well. Do you know what I mean? So overall, that gives you all the tools to be an exciting heavyweight. He's not the most powerful puncher, but he does have heavy hands, Hergovich. So yeah, maybe a rematch with Dubois, that would be good. Let's see. Adelaide, only 28, has to go back to the drawing board and build a path to contention. That's absolutely correct. Let's have a look at what the comments are saying here. Hergovich's conditioning was better. Abel Sanchez helped him, but why must he attack and try to win every round? I'm not sure about that one. I don't know about that comment. Hergovich's condition looked a little bit better, but that's the problem. Too much punches, which are not hard enough. The same old Hergovich, robotic, very amateurish, a good chin, but that is everything that is good on him. So, yeah, I mean, Hergovich did show some vulnerabilities on that fight, man. He did. And I think that leads to an exciting heavyweight, but at the same time, it doesn't lead to someone who I think will dominate the division or anything like that. I don't think Hergovich has got the capabilities to do that. But I think you can put him in with some good fights, man. You definitely can. So, yeah, I'd like to see Hergovich in with, who knows, maybe against the likes of an Itauma, one of the contenders in the division. I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him a bit more active as well. And yeah, let's see what he can do. David Adelaide, I mean, like I said earlier, the UK heavyweight scene in particular is thriving, man. There are so many heavyweights there. I wouldn't mind seeing him in with any of them right now. So, well, maybe not the top heavyweights, but you can put him back in there in contention with, you know, those guys, and maybe even TKV, maybe a rematch of him. I wouldn't mind seeing that, actually. So, yeah, there are still options for David Adelaide. It almost presented itself as just an opportunity. He didn't manage to take it, but there are still learning points from it that he can take and use that going forward in his career. So let me know your thoughts about that fight, guys. Interested to hear how you saw it, what you'd like to see next for Hergovich and David Adelaide. And yeah, let's talk about the last fight on the bill here. I mean, there were other fights, but I'm only going to talk about 3. And that's this one right here. Let me scroll up. Nick Ball and Sam Goodman, man. Good fight. Very good fight, man. Sam Goodman, previously undefeated from Australia, moving up in weight. Looked very good. Do you know what I mean? He gave Nick Ball a proper test in there. And he boxed brilliant. At times, he was boxing beautifully, man. Sam Goodman. He really did. And he did give Nick Ball some problems. So I think that the main difference in this fight was just Nick Ball's power. Do you know what I mean? His punches had more of an effect, I think, and ultimately that kind of gave him the edge on this fight, which was closely contested throughout. And I think that the power was the difference because Sam Goodman's punches didn't really do much to Nick Ball, whereas Nick Ball's punches did. I'm not saying that it rocked or dropped Sam Goodman, but you could just feel that they had more of an effect. So yeah, I think the scorecards for this fight though were ridiculous, which we're going to see in this article, I'm sure. But they are absolutely ridiculous, the scorecards here, and it's just the judges, man. I mean, these judges don't get regulated or anything. I mean, because we got the winner, who, yeah, I think many people felt Nick Ball probably did enough to win, even though it was very close. Um, the scorecards were terrible, and no one's going to regulate these judges. They'll probably be back next week somewhere, and that's just how it goes. But some of the scorecards in here, I think one was like, let's have a look. Let's just have a look here. Where's the scorecards on this? I'm sure that they will have the scorecards here in this article. Where is it? They haven't got the scorecards in here. They haven't got the scorecards in this article. They haven't, have they? Okay. Well, I believe that they were like 98, 91, and you know what? While I'm saying that, let me just find the scorecards because I want to just have a look at these. Working on the fly here, people. Working on the fly. Right, so I'm looking at them here. You can't see it on the screen, but I'm looking at it. 117, 111, 118, 110, 115, 113, which was what it should have been, which is that it was that kind of fight. But 117, 111, and 118, 110. Horrific. Horrific. They were very wide, but I did have Nick Ball winning the fight ultimately. I felt that he, like I said, his power did tell a difference in the end. But Sam Goodman at times, he boxed lovely. I have to say, man, like very good footwork. Do you know what I mean? And he did bother Nick Ball at times during this fight. But ultimately, yeah, Nick Ball, I think, powered his way through here. I mean, he's a very muscular, very strong, and very good fighter. He's our only world champion here in the UK, Nick Ball. And after that fight with Raymond Ford, it's just been proper fight after proper fight, man. I mean, this kid is he's terrific. So yeah, they're talking about him fighting Inoue. Now, could that be a step too far for Inoue in terms of weight? I think we've seen Inoue dropped a couple of times now. That will be an interesting fight, but pound for pound, yeah, Inoue is definitely levels above Nick Ball, but I guess it'd be the weight and Nick Ball's style. It would make for a great action fight for sure. So let's see what the article says here. And the action was brisk from the start. So I'm reading from here. Goodman pumping his jab and expertly changing levels, while Ball mixed in lead left hooks with right hand power and a handful of combinations. It was definitely a very good, a pleasing fight to watch on the eye. Do you know what I mean? Because you had the styles gelled together well. You had a come forward pressure fighter like Nick Ball who was throwing punches in combinations. He wasn't just coming forward and just like not cutting off the ring or anything. Nick Ball was very dynamic in his pressure, and he's very strong and he really puts you under it. But Sam Goodman did well, man. He threw combinations and he was using great lateral movement. But I think, yeah, maybe just the punching power, the intensity, and the pressure from Nick Ball won this for him at the end. But I think it was a good fight. So let's see here. It picked up in the second when Ball missed with a lead left hook and Goodman countered with a whipping left hand of his own that funked Ball's jaw and swiveled his head. Ball fought back briefly and seemingly almost unknowingly, switching to southpaw before reverting back and trying to calculate a route around Goodman's long jab. Both fighters showed their class and their quickness of foot. Yeah, it was very good. Very good to watch here, that these two. I mean, if you haven't watched it, it was definitely a good absorbing fight. Do you know what I mean? Let's see here. Ball was done respecting Goodman's power. He was routinely fighting within range now. And I think that was the issue, really, that Nick Ball didn't respect his power and was just able to go in there and, throw his combinations. If he doesn't respect your power, you're in trouble. And I felt that was the reason why many people predicted him to win going into this, because I don't think Sam Goodman would be strong enough to hold Nick Ball off. And ultimately, that was the issue here. So, yeah, over the 12 rounds, very absorbing fight, very entertaining. And yeah, we got the right winner in my eyes, but two of the scorecards were terrible. whereas one of them was more reflective of the fight, with it being 115, 113. But yeah, the future's bright for both. You know, like Nick Ball, we know, like I said, he's our only world champion here in the UK right now, one of the best that we've got in the UK right now. And Sam Goodman boxed a brilliant fight. You know what I mean? People definitely want to see him again. We know he's talented anyway, and there'll be more fights out there for him. So overall, not a bad card there in Riyadh on pay-per-view. Wasn't that bad. I mean, for it being pay-per-view was, you know, that says as much as itself that it shouldn't have been. But I thought that the action on that fight on the card was pretty good. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, the rest of this month in August, I have to say, there's not that much boxing going on. I mean, there's no significant fights now, I believe. I mean, when's the next? Is it really Canelo Crawford? Is that the next one? Because that's probably that's just under a month away. But I know August, yeah, the schedule's looking pretty light for boxing now over the next few weeks. So we'll see. Maybe the next few weekend roundups I do, I'm just going to be talking about what's in the news, and if anything stands out, maybe we can talk about that. But in terms of fight action, don't think that there's much going on over the next few weeks, man. So let's have a look here while I'm actually, let's see the schedule here. Having a look, might be small on your screen. Jack Rafferty against Mark Chamberlain. Yeah, no major fights here. None. Michael Conlan's back on September the 5th. Yeah, there's nothing real. I think Canelo Crawford's the next big card. Oscar Valdez is back on Saturday, September the 6th, in Mexico. But yeah, the real standout card is going to be in September, and that is obviously going to be Canelo Alvarez against Crawford. That's the next big show, people. The next big one, you know. Jarrell Miller and Michael Hunter was also on that week as well. It's not showing it here, but yeah, that will be on that week. But yeah, the next big fight is Canelo Alvarez against Terence Crawford. You've got Chocolatito returning to action the day before. But yeah, wow. So yeah, we've got the next few weeks are going to be pretty quiet in boxing terms, but you know, there's still some action to look at. And like I said, anything in the news, I'll report on it. But yeah, for now, people, let me know what you think about it. If you haven't watched the watch along as well, go ahead and watch that, man. It is funny, I have to say. Like, it is funny. So yeah, watch the watch along. Hit the like on this video. Subscribe to the channel here if you're new. And let me know your thoughts about this weekend's fights, people. And I'll catch you on the next video next week.